I mean, little kitty Capri. There's her Cameo here. And we might as well show you. Welcome to the Hoopla Y'all show. I am your host, Shay Rippinger of Hoopla. And thank you so much for coming out, watching live, or watching the recording, whatever you do. So, what is the Hoopla Y'all show, and who am I? The Hoopla Y'all show is health, humor, and hooping. Tonight's edition is what I learned in Sturgis. Yes, Sturgis, the motorcycle rally. See, this is the motorcycle rally shirt from this year. Yay! So, very happy to have gone to that. Many people are still on their way there. And who am I? My name is Shay Rippinger. I have been the proud owner of Hit the Hoopla since, let's see here, 2000, it's 7 years. So 7 years right now. So look at the date of this video, and you can do the math from there. Since 2008, I believe. Yes, 2008, something like that. 2011, 11, sorry, 2011. Yes, hooping since 2008. So, alrighty. So what did I learn at Sturgis? Okay, so for any of you not in the know, Sturgis is a major motorcycle rally that happens in Sturgis, South Dakota. So it's a really cool thing. A lot of people ride their motorcycles in there, ride their bikes. A lot of people bring trailers and put their bikes on the back of the trailer and drive the vehicle in with the trailer and then ride their motorcycles around Sturgis, or Sturgis, Deadwood, Spearfish, all that kind of good stuff. It's really gorgeous riding up there. Thousands and thousands and thousands of motorcycles. So it can be insanity. Our version of it was actually pretty tame in comparison with how wild it can really get. So yeah, so that is pretty fun. So anyway, let's see here. All right, so I have some travel tips because Sturgis is a nutty thing. Oh, and why do I get to talk about Sturgis? Okay, so this was my second time going to Sturgis. So the first time I actually went, kind of funny story, I went with my mom and my stepmom. So stepmom number one. I have two stepmoms. And then my mom has since passed, but it was a really fun time. We didn't tell my dad, and me and my mom drove up there in the Jeep, and we met my stepmom Denise up there, and then we all rode on the backs of the bikes. She was with her boyfriend at the time, and then me and my mom were with other guys that were riding, so it was a lot of fun. And I was with a guy who did the thing. I had a do-rag on, and I had all the full gear and stuff like that, but he was like, here's what it's like to not have a fairing. So fairing is like the windshield and the stuff that kind of protects you from like bugs and wind and all that stuff. So he's riding and he goes, whoo, and so I just get like a face full of air and lose my do-rag, lose everything, I'm like, all right, that's, okay, got it. You could have just told me that. I didn't need to know that. Anyway, I used to ride motorcycles when I was a little itty bitty kid. So like, so little that I had a 50 Montesa. So that's a teeny tiny little motorcycle. So way before I was ever a hoop dancer, I rode motorcycles. And my mom was... she was an avid trail rider. She rode Montesas, and we hung with a group of guys that rode motorcycles, and I used to go on the back of one of the craziest but safest riders out there, and his name was Huey. And I remember we were on riding. You don't call it driving. You have to learn the terminology of whatever you get into, whether it be hooping or motorcycle riding or whatever. Anyway, we were riding through the mountains, and on this little thing that just barely fit the motorcycle tire, and this was mountainside and this was cliff down. So I mean, and I was like a little kid. I had like no fear at that point. I probably wouldn't do that now, but unless I really knew the ride and had a really good trust and faith in them. But anyway, it was really nutty to do that as a small child, but it was a lot of fun. And I guess that got my sense of adventure going in life and stuff like that. It was one of the many things. I guess, who knew that, years later I would be hooping and fire hooping. If somebody would have told me, oh, you'll be fire hooping, I'd be like, you're cray-cray. But fire hoop, LED hoop, I jump through hoops, all kinds of stuff. And tune in to the towards the end of the show. We're going to do we will be covering some we'll do a hooping tutorial, and we're going to do some jump throughs today because sometimes you have to jump through hoops to get to your goals. So haha, see how I tie this all in, because Sturgis was a major goal of mine. It's like it's a cool thing on to have on your bucket list of like I call it. So a lot of people call it bucket list. I call mine a life list because I just, rather than say kick the bucket, the things you want to do before you die, I would just like to do things, while I'm here. I like just to phrase things in a different perspective. So anyway, but yeah, Sturgis was definitely on there. And it's so funny because out of me and my husband, he's all tatted up, and everybody assumes he's a bike ride. He rides motorcycles, and he might have when he was a kid. But he doesn't have a bike. He doesn't ride currently, and I'd love to be able to do that. But out of the two of us, I actually have ridden before. I took a class. I have my motorcycle license. I have no bike, so I'm a poser. No, just kidding. I just don't have a bike. I was really adamant about getting one at a certain point in my life, and then it's just how you go through different stages in life, and your goals and needs and wants change, stuff like that. Now look at me. Now I like collect hoops for a living and stuff like that. I do not collect them. I have some, and then I make a lot for others. So I make custom hoops. So if you ever need a custom hoop, I give a complimentary hoop consultation, and even have a special too if you want to do a complimentary hoop consultation and get a half-hour private lesson with me. I have a discounted rate which is like a third of my normal hourly rate. So anyway, pretty cool thing. So contact me for that if you're interested in that. All right, so what I learned in Sturgis, a bunch of different things. So when we went, so I told you the story of the trip that I had first gone in 2002, which turns out I did the math 16 years ago. Holy cow, life goes by fast. So, like I said, my mom has since passed. She's been gone. She went in 2010, so from cancer, her second round of cancer. I was just communicating online with somebody. This is a little side note. Somebody who was just diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer. And like I said, I cover health in this, and I hesitate to post on people's feed. I usually contact them individually in a private manner. I try not to like add to the, but I'm sorry that somebody, well, I'm not sorry. We all go through the things that we go through, and I can't apologize for somebody else's illness, but I always want people to be the best that they can be, healthy, happy, living life and enjoying life. So I comment on things that I know of that would be helpful and beneficial. So I don't buy into the misery and the sad, whoa, that's terrible, and I don't want to add to that pile of stuff. So I try and add something progressive, positive, helpful, anything that might brighten, lighten, and help them on a path that helps healing. So I offered the story of my mother-in-law, Joan, who had actually an aggressive breast cancer tumor, and she opted, and I've already asked her permission to be able to share this story because she's like because it's really cool that not everybody goes through the same route of treatments, and I use those air quotes because from my perspective now, having learned and researched a lot more, chemo and radiation are not treatments to me anymore. They're forms of torture, and there are actual treatments out there that do actually help, benefit, and cure. So, and those things, they may work for some people, but I've also seen them do detriment to a lot of other people, including my mom, and the drugs that killed her, chemo, radiation, and mainly the hardcore drugs. Pretty much, she died right in front of me, so I watched it happen. So anyway, but the things that I would recommend, how my mother-in-law treated her aggressive breast cancer, her choice after doing research was to get a lumpectomy to get the tumor removed, and then to do raw cannabis juice following up. So, and she's been cancer-free for well over the documented thing, well over 5 years. So that's about the cutoff point when most people get recurrences of cancer, and then you drop off the oh, you haven't gotten, you're cured, and people get recurrences after 5 years because they don't report that number. So that's a whole other story. Anyway, she has been cancer free. She's happy. She's healthy. She's part of the family. She's a lovely lady and a very smart cookie. And her doctors gave her a lot of crap about not doing chemo and radiation. They thought she was stupid, and she's not stupid. She is a very smart lady, and does a lot of research. And my husband really helped with some of that information, and she does a lot of her own research. She vets everything out, so good stuff. So anyway, that's one option. Also, another thing that I had recommended today was Dr. Norman Cousins, who wrote The Anatomy of an Illness. He was diagnosed with a collagen, a very debilitating illness that broke down his body. And when he was diagnosed with this, he was given very little time to live. And it was a terminal prognosis. So terminal, I think that's the right word. So anyway, he, instead of going the route that they were recommending, which was kind of go home, die, or whatever, the other, medical stuff, he decided to do his own treatments, and he chronicled it in his book. I have to admit, I have not read the book, but I know of his healing, because since I'm a humorist, he's one of the people that we bring up as, how humor can have a very healing effect on people. So, and hi Kim, hi, welcome. Thanks everybody for giving your thumbs up. I believe I can read your comments on the screen. I'm live on Facebook and live on YouTube as well. So I have two cameras going, and I found out last week that I can read the YouTube comments as well as Facebook, because I thought I could only read the Facebook. So anyway, so hello, welcome, and again, thanks for watching now and live, and asking any questions if you like, or adding any comments, and I'll address them in the video. And if it's after the fact, I will try and go in and respond to the comments after the fact. So thank you so much. All right, so anyway, so again, back to the topic of what I learned in Sturgis. So the other thing that I wanted to mention was that speaking of health issues, because health, humor, hooping, that's the point of the show, is that so I went up there this year with my husband with his band, the Double Bills. So the Double Bills are my husband, Bill Owen, and I have a different last name, whole different story. Anyway, and Billy Lewis, Billy DeVette. So he goes by both names. One is his stage name, one is his actual name. So anyway, so I went up with my husband. He went up with his wife Tina, and with their percussionist Derek. So we all went up there together, took two cars, all that kind of good stuff. Billy was really sick before we left. So I was texting him all kinds of leg remedies. He had tried many of them already. There's a few he hadn't tried. But I brought up a whole bunch of stuff because I didn't want my husband to get basically he had a really bad cold. So as far as we know. But he wasn't doing well. And of course, I didn't want him to go up there and lose his voice or anything like that, because that hinders, everybody. Everybody, that just brings everybody down. So I just always want everybody to be as well as possible. So he was sick, and my husband was compromised too, because he's been running himself ragged, and we've had several forest fires in Colorado, and then also fires coming in from California and other states that are blowing in the smoke really badly. So badly that when he came in from California, he just traveled out there to do an extensive seminar where he had to speak the whole time. And when he was flying, he took a video of the smoke that was in the sky, the black smoke from the fires that was coming in our direction too. So not only do we have our own massive fires burning, we call it fire season, and fire season goes for a long time in Colorado. Anyway, so that was affecting him greatly. He used to have asthma as a kid. Oh, a little hummingbird outside the window saying hi. Oh, I love this time of year. So anyway, long sleeves are a little bit overkill, but I did want to wear the Sturgis shirt because it's all about Sturgis and what I learned in Sturgis today. So Anyway, so my husband he had been clearing out some bronchial stuff, clearing out his lungs, so he was doing a lot of hacking. He wasn't actually sick, but he was trying to get all that stuff cleared out so that he could sing and be his best as well. So we had two bills down, not really down, but half a bill and a full bill down. And anyway, so I brought, so my point of this is when you travel, this is one of my little things, bring your creature comforts. So when you travel, you don't always get the things, a lot of people think that you can just get anything you need on the road when you're on the road. Not the case. And that's the case for, let's see here, food, water, vitamins, and your creature comforts. So, and that might be your mattress and pillow as well, as we soon learned. So that's another story coming up. But yeah, so bringing some of those things. So I loaded up. Took the little Ziploc snack bags and put in a whole bunch of vitamins, labeled them all, which is very important, so you don't look like you're just carrying drugs with you. A, and number two, or A, B, number two, A and number two. Yeah, that's a good way to logically, sequentially number and letter things in a non-linear order. Anyway. Okay, A and B. So you want to label things so you know what they are, and also so if they stay later, you really know, because you might remember them in the moment, but if it's like months later and you're like, what's this big bag of expensive vitamins that I all dumped together? Like I'd have 3 different kinds in a bag. They were different enough looking. Like for instance, I brought up. So this is what I brought up. I brought up garlic pills because nothing bad, in my opinion, nothing bad can live in garlic. I brought up turmeric, or turmeric, however you pronounce it. I also brought up lots of vitamin C. I also brought up zinc lozenges, which are excellent for your throat and, just wellness in general, but especially for the throat. And yeah, so, and a bunch of other things too. I like to bring the B vitamins as well, for energy and restoring when you're just, especially when you're not feeling great and you're not feeling very awake. So the first day Billy was really struggling, but I loaded him up with stuff. Plus, we actually brought cannabis juice with us, so I just made up a batch of our cannabis juice, and that was really good. So that, and it's non-psychoactive because it stays cold and all that kind of good stuff. So it's not, it's not like, you know, not like that. Very different. So in case you don't already know about that, I have talked about that extensively in many other videos. But and how I'm, like healing skin cancer with that. So for myself. So anyway, I'm a big advocate now because I didn't know this stuff before about cannabis and the healing properties of it. So I know a lot more now. Wish I would have known that about my mom, for my mom, so that she could continue going to Sturgis with me, and we could still have like knockdown, drag down arguments and laugh like heck and laugh until we cry, as my grandmother used to say. So anyway, but so so that's travel tip number one, is bring your own creature comforts, and that includes food, and it also includes water too. So like we, for instance, bring our own Eldorado water because it's highly alkaline, which is really good for your system. So a lot of the waters and bottled waters even that they serve are very acidic, not great for your body, not great for your immune system, not great for traveling. But alkaline really helps your pH levels, really helps your immune system. It helps fight fatigue. It just helps your system run better. And of course, obviously, hydration. It was hot there. So the place that we went was, this is a shout out to Shade Valley Camp Resort, which was a lovely, I highly recommend. If you don't know about this place, it's a lovely gem. They call it a camp resort, and I'm like, it's camping. But if you see how people camp these days, it's, you might have heard of the term glamping, which is where you bring your own, glamper. I guess that's what you would call. There's some she campers out there. There's a group of campers that these gals have these beautiful campers, and they're all individualized and stuff like that, and they get together and they travel and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, but there's a lot of people there that bring campers. They travel with their bikes up, all that kind of stuff. And so they're living in the lap of luxury there. So there was even one gal there that I was talking to, and she had fibromyalgia, and we got talking because she couldn't hoop. She would like to have hooped, but she was like, no, it's too painful on my body. So I learned about a little bit more about what fibromyalgia was and what it is like for somebody to go through that. And I was going through some different recommendations with her, and there were a few that she hadn't tried and didn't know about. So, like for instance, I had mentioned the Bach flower remedies, which are flower essence remedies, and they're specific for different things. And with fibromyalgia, you have good days, you have bad days. You know, much like cancer, much like a lot of different things that people go through. And I had also recommended tapping, and then there was some other things that I had recommended that she hadn't necessarily experienced. But one of the things we talked about was, you know, like trying to get food. You know, when you have body needs that require a healthy diet to maintain, you know, as best of health as possible. So sometimes when you're compromised, you know, putting it more bad stuff in really doesn't help. It just makes the situation worse. So as I found out when we had dinner covered, but the options for dinner were like pizza. I'm trying not to do wheat. I try not to do meat, so I was trying to do vegetarian. I was about up to here with salads, and I wanted a different option, so I tried to make a dinner of onion rings and coleslaw. Yeah, my stomach, just even saying that, my stomach is like going, you know. So anyway, that did not make a good dinner. Normally I can make coleslaw work, and I've never had that was the weirdest coleslaw I'd ever had. It had like horseradish in it or something really weird. I was thinking it had something very hot and spicy in there, like horseradish or wasabi. And I'm like, I hope it, and I asked the gal, and she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, because if it's wasabi, I'm allergic to wasabi. And she was like, ha 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 ha. And I was like, no, no, ha ha, not like I black out, you know. So it wasn't wasabi because I didn't black out. So anyway, but I think they had a horseradish, which just didn't taste good. But anyway, and then the onion rings like sat in my stomach like a lead balloon. Technically, yes, it's vegetarian, but really bad. It's, you know, coated with all the breaded stuff, so I was getting the wheat in that, and then deep fried. So you're losing all the vegetable properties. But anyway, so that didn't make a very good dinner. Luckily, we did buy some healthy snacks before we left. We brought them with us, and also we packed a cooler. So I grabbed at the last minute a whole bunch of fruit, and we had a lot of water with us and stuff like that. So we had some healthy options to eat. So I wasn't starving or anything like that. But that's just a lesson to the travel tips of bring your own creature comforts. So another thing to bring with you when you're traveling, again, what I learned in Sturgis is to bring your humor, and of course that's the second leg of this show is health, humor, and then hooping. So bring your humor, the sense of humor. So, for instance, so they have these like little cabins, and they're quite lovely actually. So they have bunk beds. So when you think of bunk beds, you think of like twin beds, right? And we're like two couples and an extra guy in one little tiny cabin. When I mean a cabin, it was tiny, like it just had enough room for the bunks, two chairs and a little fridge. It was small, like maybe a 10 by 10, maybe a 9 by 9, I'm not sure, but 9 feet by 9 feet, something like that. It is small, but they're darling little cabins. No bathrooms in there. They have a communal bathroom and then a communal shower bathroom area, so those were nice as well. So a campground that when we were there, we were there at the beginning of Sturgis, so before everything got really hectic, really wild, really nutty, really crazy, and really like disgusting. Because I've heard stories like I won't name the campground, but the year that I went, actually, the first year that I went in 2002, they actually had mudslides. So all the campgrounds were disgusting and muddy because it mudslides. So it had been a year of drought before, and then they had torrential rains, and then that brought it just brought the mud down like into town. When we were there when we rode into Deadwood, they had 4 inches of mud that came down onto the street, and then I watched somebody try to start their motorcycle with that mud instead of walking their bike out, which is dumb because they got all that mud through their engine. I'm like, I'm not even an avid rider, and I know that, but that's like thousands of dollars worth of damage. So don't do that, okay? So That's the health of your bike. So if you're a motorcycle rider, this is something to know. But again, humor, like this part of the show is my take on things, my spin on things. Haha, spin. See, I spin hoops. See, you see where the little double entendres of this comes. So keep your sense of humor on this. And so one where we had to keep, well, I had to keep my sense of humor. Was when we got there into the little cabins and they have a full size mattress. Great. And we're like, oh, yay, this is awesome. Until we got on them. And it's like, squeak, 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 squeak. They were air mattresses, so it's like squeaking on rubber. So the first person to get onto the bed on the top bunk was Derek, the percussionist. So he's up there, and I said, Derek, it sounds like you're having way too good of a time up there by yourself. So the other two were couples, me and my husband and Billy and his wife. So anyway, we're all having a good chuckle about that because it sounded like he was going to town up there, but of course he was just moving around on the mattress, just trying to get comfortable. And an air mattress apparently is not comfortable. So I learned something new too, which Derek had mentioned on our car ride because he rode up and back with us, and that is if you are on an air mattress, it actually pulls your body heat away from you. So it does not reflect the body heat back. So this is a really interesting tip if you go camping. Make sure you have a pad on top of your air mattress if you use an air mattress. So I did not know that. So and it started out really hot in the room, and we had the air conditioner on, and then it got really cold by morning because like that's how camping goes, and you forget this when you don't camp very often. So and it's been a while since I've camped. So anyway. Yeah, so, and we were sharing this tiny little blanket. So it would have been helpful had I brought we didn't call and ask in advance if they had bedding or if they had towels. So it turns out they had bedding but no towels. But when I say bedding, I mean like they had a twin size blanket. Now, my husband is a fairly decent sized person, and I'm a small person, but we're two people, and that thing did not go over both of us. And cover, like, it might have covered like my shoulder to my kneecap, because I put it on lengthwise so it could sort of go over both of us, because otherwise only one of us would have gotten it if I had to put it on lengthwise. But anyway, keeping your sense of humor about that is the way to go. And I learned something else about an air mattress is, especially one that doesn't have all the baffles evenly distributed, and a really good air mattress where it doesn't move around a lot. So if you sit on the corner of the air mattress, which I did, I went to go plug in my phone into the wall charger, and I went and sat on the corner, and I nearly went and launched myself head first into the wall, which was like 2 feet away, because if you sit on the corner, it distributes and it turns, it's like a catapult. It's really funny. So anyway, that's where you got to keep your sense of humor, because I could have taken that seriously and been like, "Ugh," but it was pretty darn funny. So anyway, yeah. So also, yeah, bring your own towels. Like I was able to borrow one from Tina. Brought two for them, and so anyway, she was kind enough to let me borrow one. So, but I've been to places before where you have to bring your own bedding, so it's good to bring a sleeping bag to sleep on, or and a pillow, because if that's a creature comfort to you, because like if you have like weirdness about pillows, and a lot of people do, they have a tough time sleeping on like a hotel pillow or something that's not necessarily their own. Bring your own pillow. Yes, it takes up space, but that might be a good thing. Of course, if you are riding up to Sturgis, and when I say riding, I mean on a motorcycle, you have to compact what you bring. So a lot of this stuff may be null and void, or well, it shouldn't be null and void. You should still bring the things that you need that are creature comforts to you. So, for instance, bring rain gear. It rains up there. Bring hot weather gear and cold weather gear. So because it's very hot and it also can get cold. So and also riding, it's very important. Your helmet, your eyewear, very important. Stuff like that. Gloves, protective gear. Most people wear leathers, or you can wear the stuff with the shields and plates in it, and all that kind of good stuff. So, anyway, those are some things to keep in mind. All right, and for hooping, So if you're going to hoop in Sturgis, so I just uploaded a hooping in Sturgis video, so it should be on my YouTube channel, so please go check that out. And it's under 2 minutes, so it's a real short one and real fun. And it's on the main drag, so I'm not like in the way of the motorcycles going by. I was on the sidewalk, but it was pretty cool seeing some of the bikes parked. And it goes like it's like 3 blocks of, there's got to be thousands of bikes there. It's insane. So the camera can only get so much, and we tried to get up on a perch to be able to see from one end to the other. And then it's like 4 rows of bikes, I think, going across, and then all the way down. And the bikes park really close to each other too. So there's just you can't. I didn't count them because there's like lots, and of course they move out and park, and there's some really crazy customs there and all kinds of neat things. So for the hooping thing, if you're a hooper, bring a collapsible hoop if you're riding, so that it travel hoop. And if you need to know about hoops, again, hit me up for a complimentary hoop consultation, and I can tell you all about different hoops for different needs and what your needs and goals are. So. And get you something that's really cool and custom for you. Maybe even to match your bike if you have a bike. So yeah, bring your own travel hoop, play, and Sturgis, above all else, is one place you can let your freak flag fly. So yeah, so we had a friend that went up there and took pictures, and she just like unzips her tops, and boom, the girls come out, and she's got these clear pasties with all the bling on them and stuff like that. So that's very little of what happens up there. I mean I mean that's like the tip of the iceberg is what I mean by that. The bud girls were out, and when I do mean that in all the senses. I mean the bud girls were out and the bud girls were out. The people and their bud girls, each one of them had very big bud girls with them. So we have pictures on the Double Bills Facebook page, and I think I have them on my personal page. I'll probably post them on the Hip the Hoopla page as well. But yeah, the Bud Girls were out. All kinds of wackiness ensues. So, there's some clothing optional places and campsites and all that kind of good stuff. And things can get pretty wild and pretty rowdy and all that kind of good stuff. So, anyway, but that, again, that's where you can let your freak flag fly. But realize that there is social media, and social media is kind of forever. So if you don't want stuff posted, don't go there and do it. It's not like Vegas. Well, it kind of is like Vegas, but Vegas has cameras as well. So you can be on camera anywhere. So just don't do anything you don't want, like your parents or anybody else to see, if you're not comfortable with that. But and I did tell my dad this year, because apparently I hadn't told him that me and my mom and stepmom had gone up to Sturgis before. He goes, "Oh, I didn't know that." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot. I meant to not tell you that." I can tell him now. He's married to wife number 3, who is a lovely person. My stepmom number 2, and I think he really got it right this time. I think they're a beautiful couple together and stuff like that. So, and Dad has a motorcycle that matches his plane, that matches the balloon, that matches the hangar, that matches the golf cart. They're all in yellow, So yeah. In other words, let your yellow flag fly in his case. So yeah. All right. So yeah. I think that's everything. Oh, and I wanted to tell you, besides this being my hoop inspiration, or my t-shirt inspiration for today, the Sturgis shirt. There was one that I found that I loved up in Sturgis before, and it was, and I did not see it at all this year. I'm surprised I did not see it. But like I said earlier, that a lot of people bring a trailer up and trailer their bikes to Sturgis, so instead of riding their motorcycles all the way to Sturgis. And to be fair, some people are coming from a great distance, like maybe California, Florida, Canada, New York, something like that. So it's, Sturgis is more in the center of the country and stuff like that. So it might be a long distance, or the bottom area of Texas or something like that. That's a long ride. And if you're on what the thing with the ape hangers riding like this, which that seems very uncomfortable to me. And if you've ridden before, you know that a long ride is a long ride. It's long on your tushy. It's just it wears you out and stuff like that. So and that's but that's hardcore. So that's part of the deal of going to Sturgis if you go to a motorcycle rally. But there's a lot of people that trailer their bikes up, and so my favorite saying was, I rode my bike to trailer week. So it's called Bike Week, but they call it trailer week. That's the joke. So anyway, it's very funny. Okay, so I promised you a hoop trick that I was going to teach you, a little tutorial. So, like I said, sometimes you need to jump through hoops to get to your goals. So this one is a little hoop jump through. So actually, I'll give you a couple of them. So this one technically isn't a jump through, but it's visually easy in the camera here. So it's going to take a little flexibility. What it's going to look like is like so. I'm going to take my shoes off so it looks like I'm pointing my toes, because these shoes make it look like I can't point my toes at all. So you're going through, you're dipping through, and coming out the other end. So what this is a hinge fold. So you're going to hinge your hoop on the side and let it flow, and then you're going to bring this all the way around and stick one foot in. So if you can, try not to go because it's not very pretty. It's not as pretty. So there is a move that does go like this, but I always encourage people to take and point the toe and really pay attention to that, because it cleans up your lines and makes the move look a lot better. It's just like that little extra 5 to 10% on the extra performance level of it, of how it looks. So, but also it's good dancer posture as well. So it's better for your body mechanics and your technique. So again, I'm using a smaller hoop. If you're using a bigger hoop, you don't have to lift your leg as high. So maybe I angle down and I have a bigger hoop that I can go through. But with a smaller hoop, which I'm using because I'm hooping in a small space, I'm going to dive through. So I'm tucking my head down and I'm bringing my leg up. So it's going to be a little bit more flexibility in the leg to do this. So you're going through, hinging over, coming through, lift up the other leg, and just keep coming around. So this is basically going around your body through your body's going through the hoop. There we go. So we're going through, around, and out. So that's one. You can kind of jump it if you want, but it's a nice jump through without having to jump. So it's nicer and easier on your joints and muscles and stuff like that. So if you're not in a jumpy mood, that's a nice one to do where you're still going through the hoop. Okay, so this one is actually more of a jump through, and you can do it as a step through too. So I recommend doing this as a step through first. So what I'm doing is I'm going to keep this high so you can see where the hoop is. And I'm going to demonstrate this, and I'm going to do this in reality, but the hoop might drop out of the camera a little bit here. But what you're going to do is you're going to jump through here and then bring it up. So what you're going to do, there's different entry points that you can do for this. So you could do this figure 8 move, where it's kind of like a little, there's a name for this move. Stir the pot is this one, but it can go from that. So what I'm doing is I'm coming with the hoop in. So I'm using my right hand and I'm bringing it towards my left. And then I'm going to step in the right leg first. So you're going to step in your closest leg to the hoop first, and then your other leg in. And then you can jump through and then bring it back up. So you can jump, or you can just step. Or you can take both legs in and jump through. So either way. So I like to actually be kind of gentle on myself, and I do 1-2 with the legs. So I go right, left if I'm coming from the right, or the other direction. Again, you want to just step the leg that's closest to the hoop in first if you're going 1-2 with the legs. So around, bum, bum. The camera may jostle around because I'm jumping. So, but yes. So, and I'm going to try and see if I don't know if I can jump this high with it, but okay. Anyway, I can't jump that high with both feet because I can't get my knees up here and lift and not like beat the cameras to heck. So anyway, but trust me on that one. So that jump through is a nice little jump through that you can do that's fairly easy. and you want to just continue that rotation. So you're rotating that hoop around however you're doing it. You can even do it, I suppose you could do it as a hand pass. Yeah, keep it in one hand, and then you're basically going to one arm float it up after you jump through it. So you're just going to take it down and come up really quick with it. So quick, or you obviously you can do lots of things with this. So you can jump through. I see a lot of people jump through and bring the hoop out and then hit it and then bring it back in. So there's that. I see that's kind of like a classic combo that I see a ton of people doing. So they come through, they jump through, pop it over, hit the ground with it, pop it over, and then, you know, keep hooping with it. So again, a couple of jump through variations and combos that you can try for yourself. Alrighty, so I've covered a lot of material tonight. Again, what I learned at Sturgis, although I already knew that trick to begin with, I was working on some new tricks that I learned actually from the summer jamboree, and was trying those there and was working on those and getting those a little bit more in my own toolbox. So letting my own comfort level of freak flag fly. So anyway, I highly recommend Sturgis if you have a bucket list or life list. Yeah, go to Sturgis, discover it. It's a lot of fun. It's a ton of bikes, and you might need some recovery time afterwards. So definitely count on that because, you know, it's motorized vehicles. So there's a lot of them. So you're going to get that. You know, I highly recommend bringing, if you have asthma or anything, breathing issues or whatever, maybe Sturgis isn't the thing for you. But unless you bring whatever makes you comfortable to be able to breathe. But you're going to be getting a lot of exhaust fumes and stuff like that. They have burner contests where they do the tires and they burn the tires out, and it creates a lot of smoke, and you know, so you're breathing like burning rubber smoke. Yuck. But I didn't watch any of those, so I didn't have to intake that. But yeah, breathing is an issue there. So but the scenery is beautiful, and much like in our community with the Hooper community, we have the event called Burning Man, which, you know, most everybody knows about. But if you're not familiar with Burning Man, it's a place in the desert that is nothing, and then it becomes this big, huge something, and people bring art installations and costumes and hoops and flow and fire and all kinds of stuff. And it's a self-sustaining community. You pack it in, you pack it out, and then it's a leave no trace type of thing. And so that's another place where you can let your freak flag fly and be yourself, be whoever you want to be. You can be whoever you want to be out there. But same principle in that community there. It's not a lot before you go, and then it's not a lot after everybody leaves. So it's just desert, and then a big event, and then la 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 la, and then desert again. So Sturgis is like a nice little community, like mountain towns. Deadwood has turned into a whole casino area. It wasn't like that when I went there last time. It was a nice little old town, much like Central City and Black Hawk used to be in Colorado, but they turned it into casino areas, and it's like, But I did see a couple of horses tied up in Deadwood. You know, as all the motorcycles are going by, but every place you go by, you see them in the windows. There's all the slot machines and stuff like that, all the gambling, and I was like, you know, so much for old-timey town. But anyway, yeah, lots of cool riding, neat things. Sturgis is pretty cool, so go check it out if you get the chance. So, and bring a hoop. So I was able to hoop with the double bills at Shade Valley Camp Resort, and that was a ton of fun. And I have, let's see here, I did some live broadcasts on Facebook from there, so go check out the Facebook page if you want to see what that looked like of me hooping with the double bills. And I did some Instagram posts as well. I think they're Instagram stories, so they might not live for very long, but I do have archival stuff of that. So anyway, I know there's lots of us up there, and then on the double bills page, of course. But if you want to see the hooping, of course, check out Hip the Hoopla. So, all right. So this has been Shay Rippinger of Hip the Hoopla. Thank you so much for watching and being here. I really appreciate that. Oh, look, Kitty's coming in to do her final cameo. Wow. Is she on cue or what? Kitty, kitty. Anyway, that's Kitty. There she is. Oh, yes. Because she's like, are you going to feed me? So, all right, we're going to say bye to all the people. Yes. Can you say bye? Mm-hmm. She's like, feed me, feed me, feed me. Give me the good treats. Isn't she cute? This is Kitty Capri. She's 17 years old. So let's see here. You're 1 year older than when I went to Sturgis. So, last. Yeah. High five? She's doing a high five. Oh, yeah. And I got to clip her claws because she's gripped onto my leggings really good. Anyway, all right. So this has been Shay Rippinger of Hip the Hoopla. Rock on. Peace out. Oh, and if you want to learn hooping and want some beginning videos, look, yeah, You want to learn hooping? You can go to my website and download. There's I think it's 3 videos of like some beginning cool hooping moves and how to do that and recovery and stuff like that. So you want to get a good size hoop, get that going. So go and sign up for my email on my website, www.hipthehoopla.com. Hip the Hoopla, HIPTHEHOOPLA.com. And then you can sign up for that and get that. And so, or if you want to come to classes, if you're local, or if you want to work with me online, I can work with you on the group classes or the private sessions, all that kind of good stuff. So you don't have to be right next to me to learn how to hoop. I can teach you virtually as well. So I offer that and custom hoops as well. So alrighty, go sign up for that. And if you like this video, hopefully you hit the thumbs up, hearts out, all that kind of good stuff. So thank you so much. Like, subscribe, share, do all the cool things. I really appreciate all that positivity. Rock on. Peace out. This has been Shay Rippinger.